Hey, like, obviously, this is a huge thing. Your jersey going. Thoughts about like you could be the first. You're going to be the first of a lot of guys. This whole era
Mm-hmm,
is
mm-hmm.
going up there. You thought about what that means for you to be the first one. Obviously, Steph's going to be huge. Draymond, Kevin, Clay. Like, what does it mean to you that you're the first one that goes up there?
It's one of my favorite Mark Jackson quotes. Father Time is undefeated. And so, I was able to come in, 9 years into the league. And so I had the opportunity to kind of help those guys as they were younger coming into their own. But then also, it's rare, I think, in professional sports, you see a guy that's kind of still in his prime and kind of take a back seat or actually willingly move out the way for the up-and-coming guys. I mean, Steph, he didn't make it. It wasn't that hard to move out the way. Clay, too, Draymond, too. And so it was just a great, unique situation. It's actually funny that you start to celebrate it while it's kind of still going on. Those guys are still on the court, still playing very well. Amanda Chin and I were looking at some dates, and this date was perfect. I mean, it worked out perfectly with Clay being able to be here. I think my first time coming back to a game was the Clay's return game with the busy schedule. So I think it's been beautiful, though, because I haven't been able to – I don't know if you're ever really able to appreciate kind of what you've done because you're still in it. And my life right now is like I'm still in it. It's even more busy. So hopefully get a chance to properly reflect. But just that competitive nature and spirit, like you never really get a chance to appreciate your accomplishments.
Along those lines, Andre, do you know what this team's legacy is? Have you gotten enough distance now to be able to look back and say, this is what the Golden State Warriors did or who we were in terms of changing the league, the game?
I think in arguments, I have some pretty good arguments, but there's been a few times I've been able to think about some of the things we did. But I think the reason why we had so much success is because when we won the first one, it was almost like we have to do it again to prove that it wasn't a fluke. And then once you win the second one, you're like, all right, we got to do it again because nobody can touch us. And then we got to do it again because we're supposed to do it again. And that's just I think that's just unique characteristics of great athletes, the ones who are never satisfied. And I think we just kind of that was in the DNA of every individual, and it just kind of got bred into the fabric of the organization. I think from the top down, everybody just wanted to continue to win. I mean, you heard Joe talk about it throughout his times. People might have taken what he said, the right or wrong way, but he's just a competitive guy, and that's just his competitive spirit. You talk about Steve Kerr. I don't know how many championships he has because there's so many. Right? It's crazy. He's catching Phil Jackson already, right? Right? Who would have thought that would be the situation someone could catch Phil Jackson? And then you look at Bob Myers and the athletes he's had as an agent, and then you look at when he was here, and look at what he's doing right now with the Commanders. Look at what he's doing with the group who has multiple franchises, and they want to be attached to winning folks, and we kind of had that built in. And Rick Welts as well, Hall of Famer, created All-Star Weekend, and just globalizing the game of basketball. We just had winning was just all throughout everyone involved.
Hey, Andre. You played with some great guys, especially in Philly. What made it special that you knew coming in as a senior to the other guys for each individual with Draymond, Steph, and Clay that was different from what you were used to, that you know that you guys were going to find success?
Well, I think me being older, so me being able to have some type of impression on them being younger. Also, I think the backgrounds of everyone involved. I've talked about it before. Steph and Clay coming from NBA families. They weren't fazed by much. Like the glitz, the glamour, the lifestyle, all that comes with being a professional athlete. There's a lot of traps just waiting for you. And I'm speaking in terms of notoriety, the fame, Sports Center, what you're playing for. You're playing for statistics, all those things that didn't faze them. And it kind of, fell into their personalities. They're not moved by most things professional athletes are moved by. And so they had a calmness to them, a carefree spirit to them, which makes them great. But on the other side of it, you need balance as well. And so you need someone who's hungry. One of my favorite things about Draymond is he would always say, like, what's your why? Like, why do you play the game of basketball? And it really shows up. I always talked about how it shows up in the playoffs. And, Draymond can say you can play for money, you can play for fame, you can play for different things. But if you don't actually love the game, then it's going to show up at the worst or best time, depending on what side of the ball you're on. And so he was a guy who was passionate, who loved the game of basketball. He had that fierce competitive nature, Draymond being Draymond. But if we don't have that, and you don't have that balance, and then I kind of fell in between in the middle of it all, coming in playing 9 years into the NBA, having individual success, some type of team success, playing on the Olympics, seeing that type of success, and then just kind of seeing how things were built with our roster. We had an opportunity to do something special, specifically with that first year we won a chip. And then you really get to see who folks are with how they respond to winning the championship. Like the work, like we upped our workload after we won it. And I think those are the things that are like really special that I can reflect on and say, that's what really set us apart.
Dre, congratulations. One, what were your emotions when you got the call? And it's one thing to say that they're going to do it, but to call like, okay, this is a date, this is real. Like, what were your emotions then? And also, what does it mean for your son to have been old enough to have seen you play, to be a part of this journey, to get the lessons that have come with your career?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Raymond was trying to track me down for some time, but I didn't know it was for this. I thought there was another request. So I did see his email, and he was trying to set this up, but I thought it was for something else, actually. So I kind of I was delaying it. But I've been super busy, which is, it's just been it's been somewhat of a roller coaster, but like a beautiful roller coaster where like it's hard to really grasp in real time. Like I know what it means. I've been watching basketball since I was 4 or 5 years old. Like I'm a student of the game. Like I know what it means to have your jersey retired. And, I like to, for me, it's just that competitive nature still there. Like what's next for me? So I'm like 10 years ahead in terms of like planning. Like, no, I'm trying to get here. And so, like, that already happened. So I haven't allowed myself to properly enjoy it all, and that's just who I am. But I understand what it means. I understand what it is. And for me, I think I'm more happy for the other guys. Like I'm speaking after the game, and I'm really happy for people to see, like, what Steph Curry's built and how everyone else has reaped the benefits. Like it's just been a really beautiful thing. But when we set the date, we were looking at different dates. I saw the Dallas game. Like it was really easy. It was a Sunday. I'm flying back out on the red eye. Got to go back to work. Like that's just the nature of my life. But probably the best part has been like organizing with family. It's been a headache, but organizing with all the different family and friends all coming together. The older we get, the less time we get with each other, especially with my schedule. NBA life is just like a fantasy world. Just come hang out. Now I'm like, I got a real jobs. And so trying to take today as be present. And it's a good game, too. I got a lot of favorite players playing today, so I get to enjoy a game of basketball. And your son? Oh, yes. He's a teenager. They got all the answers. But we just got back from his official visit to Arizona late last night. We got back at like 11. And so we saw part of the BYU game. He had a great visit. He's like way taller than me now. And he shoots it just as well as I could shoot it at the end of my NBA career. Like he can shoot. And so I'm in the dad mode where I'm just picking this game apart. And I'm probably like overly critical. But he said he wanted to go pro, and I'm giving him all the advice I wanted someone to give me at his age. But he's taking it in stride. He's a late bloomer like I was. It's been special for him to see. He saw it all. And so he gets it. We started winning too much, and he got bored, which is weird. Not weird. It's a normal. What was he? He was 11, 12 when we were winning a lot. He got bored. He was like, I don't want to go to the games. I know the outcome. It's crazy. But then the 7-year-old like has no idea of what's going on. And my 15-year-old, the boys just yell at her in the hallway, I want Iguodala all day, every day. Like she's sick. So she gets it and she knows she has fun with it. But the 7-year-old is like blind to it all. And she's like, oh, this is why people approach you so much when we're out in public. Like she's starting to understand.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon and congratulations, Andre. You've given so much to this game. It may be hard to narrow down, but if you could thank the game of basketball for one thing, what would that be?
Thank the game of basketball? I think the game of basketball taught me business. And there's like a fine line. I always, this is a lot of my conversations with the NBA. It's profits and then there's the game. And there's just that crazy balance. And how do you get it all right? And so I've been able to see things from a different perspective. As a businessman, the margins are everything. What are you putting into it? What are you getting back? I took over an organization and we had to make some tough decisions. I was like, whoa, like this is real. And so you get to see that side. But on the other side of it, just having a love for the actual game of basketball and the product, the game has gotten so big now, everyone wants to criticize or scrutinize every little thing. Like we had an amazing weekend last week. Like I haven't seen the city like this since I've been here. Like the city was vibrant. I had to I was in the Tenderloin and forgot. It was clean. Right? Like I was driving down the street and I'm like, wait, I know where I'm at, but it looks different. Like the city was just vibrant. I've never gone to a club here. And so all the players had all their, their sponsorship events. Like it was just a different type of vibe and feeling in the city that was just beautiful. And so I see that side of it, which is like we're here celebrating the game of basketball. And so while everybody's criticizing it, there's criticism and you don't want to overreact to it because I think the good of it is everyone's constantly talking about the game of basketball. Like, I saw hockey had a great weekend, and it was just a great opportunity for them to try to get some fans, but it's just like, no, it's just embedded in our culture. So rather people are complaining or loving the game, they're always going to be here. And so I thought Kevin Durant probably had the best statement. It's like, what are we going to do? You going to complain and just get rid of it? Or just because the game was really good. There's some things we could tweak, but, we got the energy, we got the competition back, and I think the game is in a really good space. And we probably have a deeper set of skilled players in NBA history in terms of like 1 through 250 is like really good. We're not as top heavy. And so everyone's always looking for the next star. It's hard to find the next star because there's so many that you can, pick from the crew. So just those two things, just learning the business, learning the and then actually being an expert of the game, and then kind of how to balance it all.
All right, 2 more. Go ahead. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20 with Steph, but you were one of the people to have the foresight to see who he was right before he got to being who he was. What did you see in him in 2013 that made you say, I want to go and play with him?
Well, I played with him in 2010. A lot of people forget about that. And it was tough for him to get on the court in the World Championships just because he was a smaller frame, he was young, and he was, they were kind of grooming him into, like, the potential part of it. Like, we knew he was good. He could shoot it. Like, there's no potential in shooting. You can and you can't. So he's had that. But I think it was one of those times where I'm always locked into the game. I've always spoken about that. Like, it's hard for me to see how good someone is. 1, because I'm just not going to give my opponent that respect. And 2, I'm just so locked into the game. But Jordan Hamilton, wow, that's a name. Jordan Hamilton, my guy. But timeout, and I came to the bench, and he's still going crazy. He's like, yo, did you see what happened? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I was in the game. And Steph took the shot in the bench, and that was the first time he looked away. And he looked at the bench and told him to shut up. The ball was still midair. And if you go back and look at that moment, like their reaction, JaVale McGee was there, Jordan Hamilton, there's a few other guys are looking at each other like they never seen that. But I think it was more than just him as a basketball player. I think playing in the NBA for so long, you see so many different personalities, you see so many different egos, and you talk about you want to play somewhere with joy, it starts at the top. and knowing he's going to be the leader, best player on the team, we following him. When you see someone who is who he is, like it makes it very easy to show up and go to work every single day, and I mean, you do your homework in the scout report, so you know your teammates. Like, I know what Kobe had to eat half the damn time. You know, I was just in his face, and his breath was. I'm like, oh, that's what you ate today. And so you study these guys, and you basically you know who they are. And knowing who Steph was, it was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm gonna enjoy playing basketball, being next to him.
And one last thing. I'm sorry. One last one. You were somebody that you knew retirement was on the horizon the last few years, and it was something that you kind of planned for and seen potential things that you were going to do. Mm-hmm. What is retirement for you now versus what you thought it was going to be when you were about to retire?
It's nothing like I thought it was going to be. I do not play golf. That was a surprise. My handicap's going the wrong way. But it's been. I'm around guys who are retired, and I see that side of retirement, and so like that. Now you talk about giving back to the game, giving back to the players. Now I understand. Like, we passed the health and benefits set up for our retired players while I was on the executive committee, and I just thought it was common sense. Like, I didn't realize the impact until I had older players. Like, I had like a couple guys cry, like, man, you don't understand like what this means. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, duh, we take care of each other. It wasn't set up like that because it just wasn't done. And so, but now I'm seeing the other side of retirement and my guys, and now I understand like the mental health part of it. It's like, oh, okay, like it's different. And so that's something we've started to tackle as well on the PA side. And yeah, we just I was talking on the Legends Brunch to Antonio Davis, who's now the executive director of the RPA, and we got some special things set up, and we just got to take care of each other. That's the other side of retirement.
Andre, when you made that decision, or went along with that decision to come off the bench, I mean, that set such a tone for the strength and numbers culture that was so prevalent through 4 championships. At Steph, Clay, Dre, they all at some point, for one reason or another, had to come off the bench. And it was always, well, if Andre could come off the bench, what's our excuse? What's it mean to you to know that a decision like that has reverberated so positively throughout this organization, even to this day?
Yeah, well, it's tricky. It's like you get thrown in the trick bag, we call it, because it could, as a professional athlete, you have to have the ego, you have to have that confidence, like who you are. You kind of have to be somewhat crazy. Like, you have to be overconfident. Like, it's a different level of confidence to be successful as a professional athlete, regardless of the sport. And so the stigma behind coming off the bench has always been what it's been in basketball. I think now we're starting to see with the salaries where they're at, like, you can make just as much money coming off the bench. And so if there's good in it, that would be the good. Like, no, you can still make a lot of money coming off the bench, and it's not that big of a difference than starting. You're seeing some bench guys be paid more than, maybe that 4th or 5th starter. And I just think the sacrifice is a big part of it, and understanding, like, sacrificing for the greater good, and the greater good equating to winning. Now, winning trumps statistics, which that's the fine line in professional sports too. It's like, I got to get mine so I can get paid because this window's so short. Now you're starting to see like winning's a part of the equation. You get the guys later in his career, he'll take his salary's coming down regardless because he's getting older, but now he's a winner and the teams need him, and so it'll extend his career. So if you look at the grand scheme, not a 2 or 3 year window, but a possible 7-year window, which is what it was for me. I played 10 more years. Coming off the bench actually extended my career, and you look at the grand scheme of what I've been able to do in this community in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley investing, it's actually increased on potentially on the personal wealth side.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that.